You're about to get a second look at how this international crime ring works. Jay Shadler traveled from India to the Far East to get the story, and it all begins in a place where some of these great cats still roam free, the Kanha Reserve in central India.
You're 10 feet off the ground, swaying on the back of an Asian elephant, and tracking one of the jungle's most elusive and endangered inhabitants, the Royal Bengal tiger.
I think this animal evolved with all the beauty and grace that the world could give it. It is the king of the Indian jungle. So it doesn't really fear anything in the umbrella of life in a forest. It fears man. That man which comes after it with a gun, it has no answer to.
We've brought no guns, only our cameras, to a place called Kanha. For the next 2 days, we'll crisscross this giant reserve in the heart of India.
There's a little higher terrain up here. Tigers like to have a view, a vantage point.
Beginning at daybreak, we move through a tangled mix of terrain, from open meadows to thick bamboo, and on to forested areas reminiscent of those in the United States. Only this land belongs to the jackal and the langur monkey, the black buck and the Bengal. But the chance to see a tiger in his natural home, not caged in a zoo, grows slimmer every day. In just the last 5 years, poachers have killed as many as 3,000 tigers worldwide. And now here in Kanha, only 100 or so still survive.
The tiger was on this planet when man evolved. Can we allow this animal to be slaughtered? Can we allow it to go extinct?
Valmik Tapar has devoted the last 25 years to tiger conservation. It's been a losing battle. During his lifetime, 3 of the world's 8 tiger subspecies have been killed off, lost forever. 2 more, the Siberian and South Chinese tigers, are now on the verge of extinction. And even in India, home to most of the Earth's remaining tigers, as few as 2,700 remain, and their numbers are falling.
The pressure on India's reserves has never been at the scale that it is now. The poachers are active, the gangs are active, and this is because of a demand which has grown externally out of India's borders for tiger derivatives.
Tiger derivatives is a gentle way of describing this, and this, and this. From its teeth and claws to its skin and bones, tiger parts are for sale. A thriving black market in endangered species stretches from India into China, Korea, and Taiwan. It's driven by an ancient Asian belief that medicinal cures can be found in the bones and blood of wild animals. Rhino horns to reduce fevers, bear gallbladders to soothe the stomach, tiger penis as an aphrodisiac. In a Taiwanese shop, this man is hawking tiger bone wine. The pornographic video playing behind him is all part of the pitch. Can we take some pictures? In shop after shop in Taiwan, our undercover cameras captured the underground market that's turning Bengal tigers into boxes of bones. But these pictures represent the end of the tiger trail. To trace it back, through the markets, across the borders, to the middlemen, and back into the jungle, we need to return to Kanha. Six hours have passed, and not a glimpse of a tiger. Only the memories of one from our guide, naturalist Eric Takuna.
And there he was, came out through the meadows, and he just walked across.
Noble.
Noble, very noble. People have described tiger as ferocious, and tiger as cruel and brutal, and I don't think, he doesn't look like.
What does he look like?
He looks like a cool cat.
Like a cool cat, huh? Well, let's see if we can find a cool cat.
Cool cat.
But after 10 hours, still no tiger. Even though Kanha is the best protected tiger reserve in the world, poachers have already been operating at its borders. Then, as twilight began to fall, alarm calls woke the jungle. There was a tiger on the move, and the forest knew it.
There he is.
Where?
There. I can see him there.
Oh, my God. There he is. Oh, he's beautiful.
This was the tigress they called Chotamada, the young lady. And just a few yards away, a second tiger, a male, lay casually in the grass.
He's remarkably placid with it. He's only 15, 20 feet away from the elephant.
Yes. Yes.
He knows who's the boss.
Yes. He knows our limits, and he knows his limits.
From our rolling platform, we continued to watch until the light and the tigers faded away. A day later, we were back, and so were the Bengals. By approaching again on elephant, the tigers allowed us to move within a few feet of them, close enough to hear them breathe. These two tigers will mate for the next 3 to 5 days here in the Kanha woods, the very woods that once inspired Kipling's The Jungle Book. Shere Khan was from Kanha, and it's still home to tiger stories.
I know stories of where man-eating tigers have been killed and driven past a village, and the whole village has flocked and taken the blessings from the dead tiger's foot. I mean, this is the spiritual link. Why do people do that? They obviously do it because it's a part of their deepest, most psyche. And where it still lives, it's phenomenal, the power of the tiger. Where it's gone, you can't recreate it.
Which is why these tigers of Kanha are so precious, both to those who protect them, and as you will soon see, those who are killing them.
If the smuggling continues at its current rate, what's the fate of the tiger?
It's very possible that a virtual extinction of the species will take place at the turn of the century.
When we come back, Jay Shadler is going to take us into the world of the smuggling rings.
The body can express everything and is beholding to nothing except truth. We're all aiming in the direction of a visionary named Alvin Ailey. If you come to see us, better bring a seatbelt with you. Our audiences rely on the American Express card all across the world. It's essential.
American Express is welcome just about anywhere you find people on the move.
She works the night shift for Memorial Hospital. There's no late for work here. No, my car wouldn't start. What does she drive? Skylark. It's sporty and compact. But she drives it because it's a Buick. She depends on it, night after night after night. Skylark, because there are times when anything less than Buick quality is a shortcut you can't afford to take.
To put together the best Father's Day, start with Craftsman Tools. This Craftsman 61-piece mechanics tool set with case, or this 3-drawer rally box, your choice, just $49.99. Craftsman, only at Sears and Sears hardware stores.
Critics are calling the bridges of Madison County remarkable. The New York Times, Intelligent Movie Passion, Time Magazine, Real Heat and Power, Newsweek, Clint Eastwood, Meryl Streep. The Bridges of Madison County, rated PG-13, now playing everywhere.
In the Derby, Thunder Gulch stormed to victory. But in the Preakness, Timber Country ruled. Now it's the Belmont Stakes, Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Monday's the Marshal.
That's right.
A killer changes faces. Can a master of disguise hide?
Snip, snip.
From the Marshal.
Cut, cut.
Now it is new night. Jeff Fahey's the Marshal.
Nobody wants her.
Then, Sissy Spacek and Mary Louise Parker.
I want her.
In a Place for Annie. Monday after the Marshal on ABC. Tuesday, a serial killer is back on the streets.
This man strangled my child.
And a father puts a price on justice.
I'll give you $1 million to kill him.
NYPD Blue, Tuesday on ABC. Viewer discretion is advised.
Would that be an unmarked bills?
Day one continues with Forrest Sawyer and Diane Sawyer.
For anyone who has ever tried to fight an illegal trade, whether it is drugs or endangered wildlife, there is a simple rule. You won't get anywhere unless you end the demand. So long as people are buying tiger bones, poachers will find ways to kill the tiger. Our investigation continues with Jay Shadler.
Reverence for the tiger is woven deep into Indian culture, a country where the sanctity of nature still flows like water down the holiest of its rivers, the Ganges.
The tiger evoked in man the most incredible feelings concerning some kind of spiritual force.
Every day at dusk, men, women, and children come to the banks of the river. Candles cradled in palm leaves are set afloat as flickering tokens of respect for the natural world.
We see God in each and every thing which you can perceive on the earth.
Animals, too.
Even in animals, even in the smallest, tiniest insect.
And the strongest, cleverest tiger. But extinction threatens to be more than a spiritual tragedy for India. It would be an ecological disaster, for the health of the forest and all of its creatures are directly linked to the fate of the tiger.
Look behind me. You see the spotted deer just crossing the road about 75 yards down? Those spotted deer are one of the major prey for the tiger. Imagine if the tiger is taken out of the system, if it becomes extinct. All those spotted deer, their population rises. As a result, they overgraze the grass. The entire ecosystem, from top to bottom, right down to the grassroots, goes out of balance. The tiger's the key.
But all too often, it's only been a status symbol. Once for hunters looking for a sports trophy. But now, rangers combing India's reserves face poachers looking for quick money.
Your men have been offered cubs.
Yeah. It's a very reasonable price.
What does reasonable mean?
I should think it was $2,000 for the pair.
Ashok Kumar is India's best-known wildlife cop. He manages the Wildlife Protection Society of India, a conservation group that's pursued the poachers and infiltrated the illegal tiger trade.
How do they transport that tiger, the skins and the bones, out of the forest?
Overnight, the skin will be rolled into a bundle. The bones will be put into a sack, and they'll just vanish into thin air.
For the poachers and the traders, the value of the tiger is now primarily in its bones. This is all that remains of more than 24 Bengal tigers. The police recently seized these bones during raids in Delhi. They also found more than 100 wild animal skins, including 8 tigers, a couple of cubs, and 41 leopards, all of them endangered species. The size of this seizure, India's biggest, confirms that the smuggling network is both large and sophisticated.
When you made the bust in August, were you surprised at the size?
Oh, yes. My God.
Though police made a handful of arrests in Delhi, investigators knew these poachers were only the first link in a network of dealers smuggling wildlife out of India. But who was directing the trade? Where were the bones being delivered? How much were the middlemen being paid? And where were they operating? The trail eventually led here, to an Indian community that already had the contacts, the street smarts, as well as the traditions, to put together a smuggling ring in endangered species. This is Old Delhi. There are families living in this neighborhood who have been trading in exotic goods for generations. And investigators now believe that if India has a sort of wildlife mafia, this is probably its home. Amid the back streets of this walled city, ripe with the feel of an ancient Kasbah, police pressure has been growing. So traders have taken to setting up their deals outside of New Delhi. But Kumar has been watching, and so have we. With hidden cameras and one of Kumar's undercover investigators named Mooney, we set out on a 6-hour drive past fields and villages north of the city.
Where does he operate?
He operates up north near the city of Hardwar.
Along the way, Kumar stopped to map out a sting operation on a man suspected of trafficking wild animals near the India-Tibet border. The target of Kumar's sting is this man, called Gangaram. He's said to be both poacher and middleman, killer and trader of endangered species. Mooney has spent weeks now building a relationship with him.
Is he suspicious of you?
He's suspicious of, obviously, they're very careful now that a number of seizures have taken place. But I think we got his confidence.
By late afternoon, we entered Hardwar, Gangaram's hometown. Mooney was carrying our hidden cameras to the poacher's house. Inside, Mooney meets Ram's wife and children. And then, Gangaram arrives.
Hello. Hello, Gangaram. I came before, but you were not here.
Mooney asks if they should leave the house to talk.
Why don't you come to the hotel where we can talk?
Oh, no. I will not go anywhere. I am now a little worried. I was so nervous because I was going to be caught with my merchandise.
The negotiations begin. Ram's asking price for a tiger, 10,000 rupees, roughly $320, more than a year's salary to the average Indian.
On the 24th, I will give you 1 or 2 pieces of tiger too. I can give you 2 or 3 pieces every month.
A deal is struck for leopards and a tiger. Based on this evidence, police were preparing to arrest Gangaram. But shortly after these pictures were taken, he disappeared, only to be replaced by other poachers willing to risk a sting for a pinch of gold. For the smugglers who do make it past the police in India, this is often where they head next.
These are the foothills of the Himalayas. About 100 miles due north of here lies Tibet. Centuries ago, traders used to push through these passes on their way to China, part of the old silk caravan routes. Today, traders still use the trails, and remarkably enough, smugglers still bring the goods through on yak. But this time, they're not carrying silk. They're hauling animal skins and tiger bones to the streets and shops of the Far East.
Taiwan, an island home to 21 million people, and the end of the line for thousands of wild animals. This was among the first images recorded by our hidden cameras in Taipei. Orangutans are an endangered species, yet this young female is mindlessly abused. A few feet away, turtles hanging on a hook, waiting to be severed and served to customers. After dinner, a blood chaser is said to be highly nutritious. We moved further down this mall known as Snake Alley.
You can see it here. Eat it now. This is unlike the beaver penis and the tiger penis sold by other merchants. Come on. Now let's take out the snake's skull. Just take a look. I kill snakes often. Practice makes perfect, you know. Whoever has pimples or bad temper should try this.
And if impotency is your problem, right next door, a salesman is hawking tiger bone wine as an aphrodisiac. The great cats reduced to a sexual fantasy in a bottle.
50 yards down Snake Alley from the orangutan, they're selling tiger bone wine. Have you seen that?
No, I didn't go there to see it personally.
Ling Shang-nung is vice chairman of Taiwan's Council of Agriculture. It's his job and his agency's responsibility to protect endangered species.
Have you ever used tiger bones?
Never.
Your family?
Never.
Why do you think so many of your countrymen have and do?
They are crazy.
One of the investigators went to a restaurant outside of Taipei, and one of the things that was on the menu was tiger penis soup. And not only was it on the menu, in the glass display case in the restaurant, when you walk in, there were 3 dried tiger penises on display for sale.
Sam Labuddy came with us to Taiwan. He co-directs the Endangered Species Project in San Francisco and has been investigating the illegal wildlife trade in Asia for the last 4 years. Labuddy, who supplied us with video of that trade, says bad medicine and big money drive the trade.
Whether you're talking about tigers from India, whether you're talking about elephants and rhinos from Africa, bears from the United States, by the time they get to Taiwan, they realize their highest dollar value on the retail market.
What's a tiger cost in Taiwan?
Piecemeal, if you get top dollar for everything from the whiskers, the penis, the skin, the bones, the blood, the meat, we're talking between $50,000 and $60,000.
Lured by those kind of profits, tigers are being bred only to be destroyed. These scenes were documented by investigators on a private farm outside of Taipei, where the live animals are caged, bred, and then sold on the black market. A bag of bones from a breathing tiger. From here, the trade reaches into the biggest cities. Last year, in Taipei, we equipped an investigator for the Endangered Species Project with a hidden camera. She then took a traditional recipe for tiger bone wine into 3 neighborhood pharmacies, chosen completely at random.
I said I wanted a prescription for a tiger bone wine. And they said, okay, how much do you want? And I would show them the recipe of the tiger bone wine, and they have no problem pulling out the tiger bone.
Is this genuine? Of course it's genuine.
They even took them out by the handfuls to show me that they have tiger bones. And when I asked them if I want to buy a lot of tiger bones, would they have that many in stock, they said, no problem.
At the second store, tiger bones were sold as an arthritis medicine.
Tiger bones are very helpful, right?
Right. And at the third store, more of the same. Bengal bones as a cure-all for disease. Though Taiwanese authorities claim aggressive new enforcement is drying up this trade, our own investigation found officials here to be at least as concerned with public relations as animal protection.
We've noticed these signs in the windows of some of the shops that says, we will not sell tiger bones.
Yeah, we want them to do that because you'll be proud of yourself and let the people understand that you obey the law.
Lieutenant Colonel Charles Chang is head of the government's Wildlife Protection Unit, charged with stopping the illegal trade.
But the very shop that posted that sign was the place where the investigator was able to buy tiger bones.
Yeah, that's only, you put some poster on the window, that doesn't mean that you don't sell right at home.
The posters are just public relations?
That's right. Nobody trusts that, that sign. Doesn't mean anything.
Taiwan's continued wildlife violations prompted President Clinton last year to impose precedent-setting trade sanctions. However, no sanctions have yet been placed against China, which has reportedly exported 78 tons of tiger bones since 1990. And everywhere, time is running short. At this Chinese government-run breeding center, a tiger is starving to death. Its cubs may end up like this. In Russia, one of the few remaining Siberian tigers has fallen to a poacher's bullet and lies in a shallow creek bed. In Vietnam, tiger skins and stuffed tiger cubs are bought and sold in the street markets. And even the United States is not immune to the trade. In San Francisco's Chinatown, our cameras recorded products claiming to contain tiger bones for sale in 5 of 9 stores we visited.
If you cannot save the tiger, what can you save? They are plundering something that they have no right to plunder because it is a creation of nature. It has evolved through the magic of life, and it needs the respect of mankind.
But it continues unabated. Since Jay was there last spring, at least 100 more of India's Bengal tigers have been killed.
Have you tried multigrain Cheerios?
Multigrain? I wouldn't like it. I'll tell you why. First, it's healthy. It can't be good. This is good. Second, probably tastes like cardboard.
Crispy. Nice and light. Crunchy.
Third, it's too bulky.
3, 4.
4 different kinds of oats, toasted with a touch of
Brown sugar. Those are delicious.
Too much of that whole grain, new age sort of stuff. Know what I mean?
Once you try it, you can't deny it.
I like it. I'll tell you why. First,
if you buy a new Cavalier today, we wouldn't be surprised if by the time it's scheduled for a tune-up, you've already got it paid off. If by the time it needs new rear shocks, you have your master's degree. If by the time it needs a transmission fluid change, your baby is in first grade. Or if by the time it needs a new muffler, we've elected 2 presidents. Any car can be easy to buy. The new Cavalier is easy to own. That's what makes it a genuine Chevrolet.
Right now, Karen Geiger isn't thinking about folic acid. She may not know it's important for a woman to have folic acid in her system at the time of conception and for the first month of pregnancy to reduce the risk of certain birth defects. And she may not be aware Florida orange juice is an excellent source of folic acid. She thought by drinking orange juice, she'd just been doing something healthy for herself. 100% pure Florida orange juice. To your health.
Out in Canyon City, Colorado, helping people is a way of life at Sonny's Ace Home Center. And your local Ace can help you with great value and all the stuff you need to get a jump on summer. That's why Ace is a place with a helpful hardware phone.
When you're in pain, you don't want to just ease the pain or soothe the pain or lessen the pain. You want to stop the pain. That's why I use Motrin IB.
Motrin IB. The pain stops here.
Mark Harmon is Charlie Grace, coming this fall to ABC.
It's a year since the murder of Ron Goldman, the other victim. Barbara Walters asked his family how they feel about O.J. Simpson.
Do you have an opinion now about the guilt or innocence of O.J. Simpson?
Guilty. A 2020 exclusive Friday.
Still to come on day one. Who's the most popular rookie in basketball?
Grant Hill.
Grant Hill?
Grant Hill. He has talent and money. But what he doesn't have is an attitude.
I like to think there's more to me than just basketball.
Meet the gentleman of the court, Grant Hill. And later, a terrifying moment that changed the history of a nation. What really happened at Kent State. When day one continues after this from our ABC stations.
This June at your local Northwest Ford dealer, it's a vacation celebration. Get the year's best offer on America's best-selling car, Ford Taurus. Right now, get $1,500 cash back and 5.9% APR financing on a new Taurus. Get $1,500 cash back and 5.9% APR financing on a Taurus at the vacation celebration, happening now. Test drive a Taurus today, only at your local Northwest Ford dealer.
Hi, welcome to Godfather's Pizza.
We like a
pepperoni.
Pepperoni.
Hey, order my delectable half and half. You get half of my famous 6-topping combo and half pepperoni. Lip lock on a medium for just $9.99, or get a large or one of my jumbos. They're hot, with a price to match.
Size? Right.
Godfather's Pizza's half and half. Get a medium half combo, half pepperoni, just $9.99, or make it a larger jumbo. It's your choice, only at Godfather's Pizza.
Do it.
Good evening. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on Northwest Nightcast. The family of the pilot who was shot down in Bosnian Serb territory will sleep much easier now that he is safe tonight. Scott O'Grady is from Washington and received part of his Air Force training at Fairchild Air Force Base. We'll have more on this story later tonight. Checked your storage unit lately? Police in the Tri-Cities are looking for suspects who have been breaking into the units. Find out how to protect your belongings tonight. We'll also have your latest weather forecast and all your sports news. See you at 11.
Save up to 60%. Pay no interest until January of next year when you charge your purchase on a McMahon's account now during McMahon's parking lot sale.
You're watching KAPP 35 Yakima.
Try to find a hero in the sports world these days, and a lot of people are coming up empty. Between the strikes and the scandals, sports fans say they're just getting a little tired of all these well-paid prima donnas. Well, then you meet a guy like Grant Hill of the NBA's Detroit Pistons, and things start looking up. It seems everybody is talking about this young Rookie of the Year. Question is why? Michelle McQueen got the answer from the man himself.
Some people live for the fame. Some people enjoy it. Some people need it to survive. And some people don't. And I don't consider myself as someone who really needs it.
He's 6'8", 22 years old, a millionaire. And whether he likes it or not, Grant Hill is a star. He is the most exciting pro basketball rookie to come along since Michael Jordan. And in his first season, he managed a feat that even Michael Jordan did not.
Welcome to America West Arena.
At this year's NBA All-Star Game, the top vote getter was...
Grant Hill.
Grant Hill. Who else?
NBA fans cast more than 1.2 million votes for Hill, the only first-year player ever to lead the balloting.
Grant Hill.
But Hill's popularity is sky high, not just because of the way he plays the game, but because of the way he does not.
We have a free-for-all. Johnson blindsided Rivers.
In an era of bench-clearing brawls and trash-talking bravura, Grant Hill has come to represent what's good in sports, as well as a positive image of a young black man with choices that go beyond the basketball court.
To hear all these things or to read all these things, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I think I'm a nice person. I think I've done well in basketball, both on and off the court.
What's the worst thing you ever did?
Okay, when I was in 3rd grade, I didn't like this girl in my class. So I got this, I put together this petition to get her kicked out of our class. And everybody in the class signed it. I got in trouble. I had to go to the principal's office, and they called my mother.
Grant felt a lot of pressure academically, more so than athletically, because our expectations were, mine particularly, probably pretty strict.
Grant's mother, Janet Hill, was a Wellesley roommate of First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton. She is a partner in a corporate consulting firm. She was a strict parent, so strict that her son's friends had a nickname for her.
The sergeant. I started as a sergeant. I was promoted to general, and when his friends would call me general, they'd even salute me when I came in the gym.
She was tough, and you know, she didn't let me do anything. I never went to a party in high school. I wasn't allowed to talk on the phone more than 20 minutes a day.
He might have been a 6'8" violinist, and if that were the case, then I would have supported him in that. It's a game ball. I got...
Grant's father, Calvin, also knows life in the spotlight. After graduating from Yale, he gave up plans for divinity school when he was drafted by the NFL's Dallas Cowboys. Like his son, Calvin Hill was also Rookie of the Year in 1969.
There were some indications that he might be an athlete, but the thing I was concerned about was that he might feel that he had to be an athlete because he was my son. I didn't want Grant to have to feel like he had to do anything.
Measuring up may not have been a problem for Grant. Fitting in was. His comfortable background and his father's celebrity sometimes made him an oddity in a sport dominated by the hard rhythms of the inner city.
Growing up, playing, being from the suburbs, coming from a family who has money, I was always, you know, thought of as being soft, or, you know, he doesn't have to play because his parents have money. He's not like the rest of us. So
did you feel a gulf with some of the other kids?
Oh, yeah.
When
I would go into the city, or I'd play with teams in the inner city, it was like I had to develop a toughness myself just to deal with that, because people came at me even harder because of who my dad was.
Like his father before him, Grant proved tough enough to play with anybody. After high school, he accepted a scholarship to Duke University. There, he flourished. His team won 2 national championships. In his freshman year, he stunned a national audience with this play.
He'll call. Oh, can you believe he got that high?
The following year, he threw this remarkable pass that led to the game-winning shot.
Puts it up. Yes!
By his senior year, with the president in attendance, he led Duke to the title game, but fell short of a 3rd championship. Disappointing, yes. Devastating, no.
All along, I went to Duke with the intention of course, playing basketball, but also, you know, going on to grad school. I always wanted to go to law school. And a part of me also was like every college student, where he wasn't too sure what they wanted to do.
Then, professional basketball literally called him.
The Detroit Pistons select Grant Hill from Duke University.
Of the top 7 players drafted in 1994, Hill was a standout in one little-noticed area. He was the only college graduate, and instead of holding out for more money, he made a 6-figure donation to Detroit's youth department before he signed a contract.
How you doing?
He is a new celebrity with some old-fashioned ideas about his responsibilities. Already, Hill's fan club reaches all the way to City Hall.
As Grant Hill is more identified with the city of Detroit
over a longer period of time as Michael Jordan has been to, say, Chicago. That's the kind of thing that Grant Hill will be with the Detroit Pistons, a legend.
Helping people comes up a lot in your conversation.
Well, I almost feel bad in a way because I think that things have been almost perfect for me in my life. I'm like almost embarrassed of the way I've been brought up, the way things have been.
Do you think you would feel that way if you were white?
It's hard to answer that question, but it would be a lot different. I know that. I wouldn't feel like I'm different than everyone else in my race. And in a way, I feel that's the way I feel, and that's almost sad in a way. I shouldn't feel that way.
You know, I've heard people say that perhaps Grant is not black because, you know, he didn't grow up poor and he didn't suddenly use basketball to make money and to buy his mother a house.
Do you resent the fact that the implication is that he's not authentically black because he did not come from a ghetto?
I don't resent that at all, the comments that people would make, because I believe that Grant understands. I've heard him say it himself. He's been black for 22 years. So he knows what it means to be black in this country.
I was brought up to be very thankful when good things happen. And outside of sports, when I talk to people or when I show that, you know, I have some sense of intelligence, then it's almost as if, you know, that people are surprised that, you know, you're black and you're an athlete. You're not supposed to know that.
He's got all the attributes that I think corporate America should be interested in.
Lee Fentress heads the company that handles Grant's off-the-court career.
What we were trying to accomplish with Grant the first year was to have maybe one national television endorsement with a campaign.
Say hello to Grant Hill.
Those plans quickly went out of the window when the phone began to ring off the hook. Grant has 3 national television campaigns running at the same time. Stardom, of course, has its other benefits.
You know, it's weird because when I was in high school, I couldn't buy a date. You know what I mean?
You're not having that problem now.
No, I'm not having that problem now.
What happened?
I don't know. There's some beautiful ladies, gorgeous females, you know, sitting there wanting to talk to you. And it's just like, wow, you know, you can't believe it, you know, it's just almost like, wow. But then you have to have a reality check, and you know, you got to keep it all in perspective.
What is the reality check for you?
For example, if you want to meet your future wife, you don't want to meet her at a club. You know, you want to meet her at a library. You don't want to meet her in a club or at a basketball game.
Grant Hill is not the only good guy in sports. But in an age when 22-year-old millionaire athletes are nothing special, he may be one of the few who can walk away. The bottom line on you, Grant, is that everybody thinks that you have your head screwed on straight. And I wonder whether part of the reason that you do is that you didn't bank your whole life on being a professional athlete.
If I weren't in the NBA, I'd be fine. I probably wouldn't be making as much money as I'm making, but financially, you know, emotionally, I'd be fine. And, you know, I like to think there's more to me than just basketball. And, you know, when I write my autobiography someday, basketball will just be a chapter in my life.
So how is Grant Hill doing for himself? Well, forget his player's salary. If you just take that string of endorsement deals, he's making an estimated $5 million a year, proving once again that nice guys sometimes finish first.
Are you sure you're getting the best rates on your international calls?
Now the difference between MCI and AT&T's best international rates is even greater than ever.
It's here in the MCI Proof of Savings Statement. It shows you how you save no matter where you call. Take India. Those savings could be $15 a month, $180 a year.
To England, save $96 a year.
To Mexico, save $132 a year.
There's no doubt who saves you the most.
And no doubt who you should call. MCI.
5 years in development, 9 onboard computers, 12 patents. Introducing the elegant and powerful TL series, the new touring luxury sedan from Acura. Engineered to run over the entire car industry and still provide a smooth ride.
Lease the all-new Acura 2.5 TL for $369 a month at your local Acura dealer.
Lots of snacks are just the same old taste, bite after bite.
Come on, break loose with Fisher Nuts and Fruits. There's creamy cashews, sweet papaya, crunchy almonds. So every handful's different. And Fisher Nuts and Crunches with crispy peanuts, tortilla twists, and crunchy pretzels. Shake out another handful and shake up your taste buds all over again. Fisher Snack Mixes. The best bite is always the next bite.
Hi, Trish. Todd's working here.
Don't remind me.
Can he make it a whole shift without Duracell batteries?
I made these special just for...
Guess not. You can't top the copper top.
The sun touched us, and for a moment, we found heaven. Sunflower's fragrance from Elizabeth Arden, a celebration of life.
Wow, I've been waiting a long time for this vacation. What? What's going on? Where are all the guys going?
It's hot. Burger Man just called us all back to work.
On those long, hot summer days, there's only one way to quench that deep-down thirst. At Burger Ranch, right now, they're squeezing up fresh lemonade along with fresh lime to all thirst-quenching pleasures, lemonade and fresh lime.
You know, I'd only let Burger Ranch squeeze me out of my vacation. Me too.
If you're worried about the future, plant a tree today. They clean the air we breathe, create beauty. They cool our cities, shade us in the summer, conserve energy, help fight pollution, and protect us from the cold winter winds.
Birds will come here when it gets bigger. Children will play under its branches.
That's the miracle of trees.
Hey, why don't you plant a tree too? Please. Trees for America.
In our heads, a lot of us have a kind of scrapbook of the events in history that have produced pictures we'll never forget. A baby girl in the arms of a fireman after the Oklahoma City bombing. Or a young man blocking a tank during the student uprising on Tiananmen Square. And there's this one. 25 years ago, a young girl crying over the body of a student at Kent State. We know the image, and many of us think that we know what happened that day in Ohio, but why it happened has been something of a mystery, even to many who were there. Tonight, the story behind the image of Kent State from those who can never forget. Here's John Hockenberry.
Between the city of Cleveland and some cornfields lies Kent, Ohio, a town of 28,000 residents and 20,000 students who attend nearby Kent State University. It was midterm week at Kent State when in the spring of 1970, this nation's longest war came home to the heartland.
In cooperation with the armed forces of South Vietnam, attacks are being launched this week to clean out major enemy sanctuaries on the Cambodian-Vietnam border.
It was an invasion of Cambodia that President Nixon announced on April 30th, 1970. He had promised to end the Vietnam War, but now it seemed he was widening it. The news was a thunderbolt on college campuses across America and on the campus of Kent State University. 48 hours after Nixon's speech, the Army ROTC building on the Kent State campus was in flames. Student Chick Canfora heard about it on the radio.
The news report was that students at Kent State were battling with firemen as the ROTC building was ablaze. And I remember just feeling wonderful.
Robbie Stamps was a 19-year-old sociology major.
We could just go up to our dorm room on the 6th floor and look over and see the flames just lighting up the night sky.
Do you recall any music you heard?
Yes.
What?
Street Fighting Man. We put it on the stereos on purpose. We opened up the windows and we took the speakers and we stuck the speakers out the windows. And we played that music.
In the middle of it all was a 14-year-old girl and her little dog, a runaway named Marianne Vecchio, who had hitchhiked there from Florida.
It seemed like I was up on a hill, and you could see the fire and the fire trucks and hysteria.
The burning of the ROTC building brought out the National Guard. Commander John Martin got the call, and the next morning, 900 guardsmen were facing hundreds of angry, chanting students.
My unit was given the mission of patrolling the campus. I mean, I thought I was a human being, a citizen of the United States, but because I put on a green suit, I was receiving some comments and attitudes that I didn't understand.
2, 4, 6, 8, organize and smash the state.
1, 2, 3, 4, we don't want your war.
Ho, 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 Chi Man, pigs off campus. The people that I commanded were the same age as the students. I think it affected them even more. Here's somebody their same age treating them as somebody different.
You were 20 years old on May 1st, 25 years ago.
Correct.
Student Dean Kaler was coming from his 20th birthday party when he and his father drove back to school that Sunday afternoon. In just 2 days, his campus had become an armed camp.
And when we got to the city limits, my father took a deep breath and said, "Oh my God, this looks just like Korea." He was quite amazed. But we talked about it for, on our ride in and decided that I'm not a kid to get in trouble, so we figured it would be all right to stay.
On Monday, students called for a demonstration. Kent State yearbook photographer John Philo had no equipment to take pictures, so he tried to borrow a camera.
Ran down the other end of the building to the yearbook, see if I could get any equipment. It was all signed out, so basically I had a wide-angle lens on a 35mm camera, which is probably not good in that type of situation.
For the Guard, it was .30 caliber ammunition in their Army-issue rifles, guns the students didn't believe were loaded.
They were equipped with M1 rifles.
Bayonets?
Had bayonets.
Live ammo?
Live ammo. It was the worst weapon in the world, but that's what there was. There wasn't anything else.
A historic showdown with the National Guard on a grassy college athletic field began with the ringing of a bell.
Right at noon, the victory bell started ringing, and people started to assemble, and one student got up and gave the beginnings of a speech calling for a strike of classes until the war was over.
To enforce a curfew, the Guard sent a jeep full of soldiers out onto the commons to stop the rally.
Everyone was indignant. Lots of students gave the upraised finger to the jeep.
I called them cowards. I said to them, if you support the war in Vietnam, why aren't you over there?
I noticed right away that this jeep was coming back, and then it dawned on me they had rocks thrown at them.
The Guard had tear gas. In what they thought was routine crowd control, they responded by beginning an advance on the crowd.
The protective mask that we had issued cut your field of vision to about this much. So as we moved out, the first problem we had was disorientation. They kept shooting tear gas, kept coming at us, kept moving. I didn't want to get too close. My theory was if I stayed about 100 yards away, I wasn't going to get hurt.
I remember running up the hill and seeing a lot of the students picking up the tear gas canisters and throwing them back in the direction of the Guard.
The Guard then marched up over a hill, Blanket Hill it was called. The tear gas had moved the crowd, but the Guard was losing control of the situation.
We went up over top of Blanket Hill, and it was that point that it dawned on me that I didn't know where we were stopping. I should have asked that question before, but it didn't come, it never occurred to me that I didn't know where we were going to stop. I was angry at that point because, this didn't need to go on. I didn't need to be tear gassed. I remember picking up a handful of stones in the pile that was right in front of me and just sort of flinging them in their direction, just as a symbolic gesture. One kid threw a rock, 2 kids threw a rock, 20 kids threw a rock. And pretty soon we realized we were in a bad position.
So a unit of National Guardsmen lowered their weapons and appeared to take aim at a group of protesters on the athletic field. Student Alan Canfora was taunting the Guard with a black flag.
I could see that there were at least several of the guardsmen on their knees with their fingers on the trigger. And I thought at that moment that if they were going to fire, surely I would be hit.
And then the soldiers appeared to retreat. Without warning, they turned and began to march back the way they had come.
There was applause. They're leaving. They're going. We've won. And then they surprised us.
A group of guardsmen paused in their retreat, turned around, and lowered their M1 rifles one more time.
The next thing was, very quickly, was the sound of the M1s going off. And I was there. I immediately turned around, and I was looking at the back of this line of troops, and I knew they were firing. There was smoke.
When I heard those guns going off, I thought, well, maybe they're firing blanks, maybe it's live ammunition. I didn't know.
We could hear the bullets ricocheting off the cars around us, shattering the glass of the cars above us.
The metal sculpture in front of Taylor Hall erupts into a cloud of rust, like clang.
I just hit the deck. I just hit the ground.
The immediate thought was, my God, they're killing hundreds of them. Because I knew there were hundreds of them there.
I remember jumping on the ground and covering my head and hoping that I wouldn't get shot.
How long did you hope you wouldn't get shot?
Probably a couple seconds.
And then?
Then I got hit. Felt like a bee sting in my back.
What do you do when a group of students throw rocks and confront your troops, and they're scared, and one of them pull the trigger, and some more pull the trigger? What do you do about that? There's no training for that. No training for that.
For 13 seconds, for reasons that have never been fully explained, perhaps 28 guardsmen fired a total of 67 rounds. When it was over, 4 students were dead or dying. Bill Schroeder, Allison Krause, Jeffrey Miller, and Sandy Sawyer. 9 people were wounded. One of them was Dean Kaler.
I was probably, I don't know, right about here somewhere. That was generally in this area, right about here somewhere.
So this is where,
Yeah,
this is where you last stood?
Yeah, this is where I last stood the last, 25 years ago. So.
Walking stopped for Dean Kaler on that spot, and for a moment, all sound stopped too.
It just fell into this sort of hideous silence. And that's the thing I think I remember the most for the last 25 years that has been so haunting, was how quiet it was after those 13 seconds of gunfire.
It was deadly quiet.